let's put it this way. We can't know until we do the correct kinds of studies. And right now, in the big hospitals, we have standard of care with metabolic therapy. Metabolic therapy includes targeting glucose and glutamine, maintaining the correct nutritional balances that you need. And the missing group from all of the studies that have been done, to my mind, is the key control group with metabolic therapy without standard of care.
Yeah.
And that's the missing group.
They're hard to find.
And you can't get anybody to do it. No hospital will allow it.
Exactly.
So the very organization that needs to be involved with this is part of the problem. And without that group, we cannot answer specifically your question.
The only way that it could be done is to do what Dr. Esselstyn did with heart disease, which is basically people go to him who are volunteering. They're saying, I don't want any more drugs, I don't want to have any more procedures, I'm going to do what you say, and then he's followed them for 32 years. And that's the only way I see it happening. So we're starting to do that. Yeah. We're enrolling cancer patients in a survey program to track them and their decisions so that someday, probably after I'm long gone, we'll be able to answer that question. But you're right, because it's considered unethical to not give patients treatments, even if they don't work, if it's the standard of care. So you can't have that control group.
Well, then we have to come to the changing of the policy. And that what I'm doing is writing case reports and publishing them in the literature, which allow physicians to look and say, maybe we should do this on a bigger scale. And that's one of the ways we can, because you got to break the system the way it is, because it's not working for so many people. And I think we need the groups, and the scientific evidence is there. It's not like this is all unknown. I mean, there's thousands of research papers to say that this will work. It's just that it hasn't been done. And who pays for this? Right? When you do a clinical trial, there's a lot of issues. You have to have a hospital that buys on. You have to have a sufficient amount of money to pay the physicians, to recruit the patients. Who wants to pay for a possible therapy that may not generate the same degree of revenue that other therapies generate?
Right.
That's the problem.
Right? So I had a patient. When I gave a talk at a hospital up in Michigan, Sparrow Hospital actually, and I was telling people this, and one of the radiation guys got so angry he wanted to leave. And I asked him later, I said, why are you so angry? He said, well, if this stuff you're talking about, we're going to have to close half the hospitals in the country because radiation generates so much revenue, it keeps the other processes going. And I said, I don't know how to address that.
Right.
So you're up against a revenue generation system.
Yeah, we devalue human life to such a point. What happened to these young doctors? I mean, I don't know a doctor that did not get into it for the right reason. When you're 18, 19 years old, you don't say, hey, I want to go through 12 years of education and make a fairly poor salary. They did it for the right reason. But somehow that whole process. I had in my office 4 years ago a former dean, and I won't name the school, of a major Ivy League medical school. And his wife had come to us in reverse liver cancer. And he came in and he was so, elated that we healed his wife. And after he talked for about a minute, I said, number one, how long have you been married? And he said, 38 years. I said, okay. I said, have you learned to respect your wife? Oh, yes, I respect her. I said, then how do you think I healed her? Go out and hug her. She healed herself, and you should be lucky because God forbid she died, you wouldn't know what to do. And he finally laughed. He was first offended, and then he laughed. Then he was walking out, and he said, I'll do anything to help you. And I said, no. I said, wait a minute. Come and sit down. And I said, what happens when you're training oncologists? Is it intentional that you get people to immediately act on the protocol? And he said, yes. He said, if we give anyone, a patient, time to think about what happened with their father, their mother, their neighbor, their cousin, through the treatments that we're offering, most people would back out of it. So I heard it from the horse's mouth.